Have you ever felt lonely, isolated, even when you're in the midst of teenagers like yourself? You just feel like you do not fit in, they're not your people, or you don't just vibe with them. Have you ever felt that way? If yes, then this is. The thing is, many of us teenagers struggle with loneliness, we struggle with isolation, and God doesn't want us to continue that way. He's not designed us to be lonely, He has not designed us to be isolated. Even Jesus, while He was on earth, He had His own disciples, He had His own community, He had His own people. They did things together, they ate together, they did a lot of things together. So why are you now lonely and isolated? Well, this brings us to our topic for today, which is the importance of having a community as a teenager. Recently I attended a teens hangout, and while I was going, I was really, really happy because I was like, oh God, thank you for making me to have a community like this. Thank you for making me to have teenagers like myself, whereby some of us share the same values. Let's say out of 30 of us that were there that were teenagers, at least two of them are people that I am very close to, and there are people that I can talk to and be like, oh, right now I am going through this. What do you think I should do? Or, oh, I'll be going on a fast. Do you think you can be my accountability partner? Or, I'm not saying I'm not saying that I did that, but I'm saying that it's something that at least these people I can do that to. At least there can be one or two people or three at most that are there that I know that they are my people and I'm very close to out of 30 of us there. And I can be like, oh, hi, mentioning whoever, let's say Daniela, I'll be fasting or I'll be doing something, I'll be taking these bold steps, and I want you to be my accountability partner. You can do stuffs like that. But what if I do not have a community? There won't be somebody that can be my accountability partner. There won't be people that I can, share my mind with or share so many things that are on my mind too. So that is why you have to have or you need to have a community. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Just with Ohunnla, and it's glad to have you here once again. So moving on to our topic for today, like I said earlier, the importance of having a community as a teenager. Sorry, you know that your teens age or your teen year is the best time to discover yourself. It is the best time to know who you are, what you are sent to do on earth, basically your purpose. It is in your teen year that you get to know all these things, and that is why you need to have a community. Because having a community would also help you to know who you are. Imagine being in the midst of 30 people, or I think 30 is too much. Let me say being in the midst of 5 people, maybe your little community, you guys are just 5. Imagine being there and you see that people are very different. This person is different, this person is different. Each person is unique. You begin to ask yourself questions like, oh, what makes me unique? What is my own uniqueness? Who am I? What is my temperament? How is my personality like? Out of asking those kind of questions, those questions that comes from within, that comes from your inside, it makes you to go ahead to discover yourself, asking God questions about yourself. That is why you need to have a community. But take for example someone who does not have a community, you won't really think that way because you are always on your own. Although sometimes it's actually good to stay on your own, sometimes it's actually very good, but not even in this aspect now. Teenagers who find themselves on their own most of the time, people who are always lonely, people who are always isolated, they don't get to reason this way at times, and they don't get to see life outside their comfort zone or life outside their space. That is why you need to have a community. I saw something recently that if you want to go fast in life, go on your own. Just do life on your own. But if you want to go far, just go with a convoy. And that just clicked in my head. Community. Oh, in a world where everything is now becoming a norm, standing out as a teenager is very, very hard. I mean, it is very, very hard because you'll be mocked. You'll definitely be mocked. You'll be made jest of, like, what is wrong with you? Don't you know that this is what is involved? Don't you know that this is what is trending? And if you don't have a community, it will be very, very easy for you to follow multitudes to do evil. It will be very, very easy for you to, follow the trends, feel pressured, and that is where peer pressure comes in. But when you have a community, people who are holding you, they're like, no, regardless, it does not matter. You won't listen to the voices of people who are telling you otherwise, because you have people like you, people that are even doing it better than you are doing it, people that, when you are like, oh, I'm choosing not to I'm choosing to stay pure. I'm choosing sexual purity, for example. People that, when you say, oh, I'm choosing sexual purity, they are also saying, yes, I'm choosing sexual purity. Unlike other people whose voices will come and be like, what is wrong with you? What do you mean by sexual purity? Or people who, maybe you make a decision and you're like, as for me, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know. Whatsoever it is. As for me, this is the step I'm taking. And then your community, they're also like, oh, that's really nice, this is also the step I took, so here, and this is the step I'm thinking of taking. But people outside will be like, what step do you think you want to take? Just stop it. So you won't feel inferior when you have a community. You won't feel inferior. You won't feel like, oh, um you are the one that kills Jesus, or maybe you are carrying God on your head too much, or you are trying to be moral, or you are trying to be. You won't feel that way, because you have a community, you have people that even make you want to do more. So that is the essence of having a community. So now, what is the importance of having a community? Number one, having a community would give you accountability partners and people who would encourage you during the times of your struggle. Yes, people would encourage you during the time of your struggles. If you are going through a tough phase, going through a tough time, there are people that you can call on and be like, people, you guys, maybe on your group chat or in school, however it is that I'm currently going through this particular phase, and this is the issue I currently have. People would pray for you and hold your hands and be like, no, don't worry. It could be financially, it could be in any form. Accountability partners, people that you can say, oh, I want to do this particular thing, but I feel like I won't be able to achieve it. So now I'm telling you so that you can remind me daily on the step I have decided to take. Another reason why it is very important for you to have a community as a teenager is because it helps you to connect with like minds early, people who share your values. I said something earlier about you not following multitudes to do evil, you standing strong and standing out and standing for Christ and all. I said something about that earlier. So yes, if you have a community, if you have people who share the same values like you do, people of like minds, it really helps you to stand firm. It helps you to be better. It connects you with like minds early, basically. Another reason why it is important for you to have a community as a teenager is that it helps you to grow. It helps you to grow because, you know, I think I said this earlier too, that you can't do life alone. You can't do life alone. Yes, you would train yourself and help yourself to grow, but having a community would also help you to grow in so many ways that you can't even think of. For example, using financially as an example, there are actually teenagers that have money, like there are teenagers that have have dollars. Imagine being in that kind of community whereby all of them are well to do, I mean financially, but you are still the one trying to like come up. I'm giving you just 3 to 4 months, or let me say 6 months, you will have money. Not because they are giving you money, but you have money because you have grown. financially. And the same thing happens academically, the same thing happens spiritually, the same thing happens even career wise, and in different areas. It will help you to grow. You would realize that most times you do not think the way you used to think before. You think more maturedly, and you think really far. And sometimes even when you speak too, you're like, oh, am I the one that just said that? Because you begin to grow in ways that you did not even imagine that you will grow. So lastly, the importance of having a community as a teenager is that it helps you to better make use of your gifts, your skills, and your talents. Yes, it helps you to make use of your gifts and talents. For example, in church, if maybe you were not in any unit, you were not in any you're not a worker, basically. You do not do anything. You just go to church as a teenager, sit down in teens church, listen to everything they have to say, and you are going back to your house. When you get there and you see different people, or you even have friends already, you have community, you have your little small community. For example, you see them do so many things, and then you realize that, oh, I can actually sing, oh, I can actually draw, and I have talents in this particular area. I have the skills in this particular area. Why can't I do this? And then you begin to do it. And before you know it, you begin to get recognized in church. You get to build yourself more. You get to build yourself more. And then before you know it, doors of opportunities are knocking. And also in the aspect of your gift, when the Bible says our gift is for the edification of the church, that is it. So you get to use your gifts, get to use your talents, and I pray and I hope that you would find your community. Now, someone is asking, you have talked about the importance of having a community. You said a lot about having a community. But then, how can I have a community? I've been lonely for too long. I've been isolated for just too much of time. How can I have a community? First, one of the ways in which you can have a community is to know your values, know who you are, know what suits you and what doesn't suit you. Because if you do not know this, anybody can just come in anytime into your life, and it won't be really really nice, and it won't be really really good, and it would make you to compromise at times. So that is why you should know your values, know what you like, know what you don't like, know your do's, know your don'ts, know all these things about yourself. That way, when people are even coming, when you see people, you're like, oh no, this person, and when you say, okay, yes, this person, and then you after you do that, in your school, for example, pray about it. Be like, God, I need a community, I need people, I need friends, people of like mind. Begin to pray. And then God begins to show you each and every one of them, one by one, one by one, one by one. Before you know it, you already have a community. You have your own friends, you have people like that. There is this movie I've been watching, I think since, was it last year that this episode guy, I can't remember, but I think a new episode is out, Just Us Girls. There are actually three ladies, although we know that they've done a lot of things, and each one of them goes through a particular phase or another. But when you look closely, you see that they actually open up to each other sometimes, because Ahmed decided to keep things to herself, and then she couldn't open up. But Coinsola, as an example, you can go ahead to watch Just Us Girls on YouTube. Coinsola, her friends knew that this was what she was going through, especially in the aspect of getting married, and they were there to support her. Even in this new episode now, you see that they are already opening up to each other, and they do things together. They are there for each other, basically, and they don't just allow things to come to them anyhow. That is why it is very important to have a community. These three ladies are always together, and most of these things that I've mentioned here is actually visible in their lives, just those girls. And another example, Daniel. Daniel in the Bible, yes, he had the three Hebrew boys, basically, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and yeah. So it's not as if eating the king's food. For me, I feel it's not as if eating the king's food, the meal, the chicken or the meat, however, is bad. But he just decided that, you know what, This thing, I'm not eating it and I'll take vegetables. Decided not to defile himself with the king's meat. That is how the Bible put it, with the king's meal. And for me, I feel like it's not like eating that particular meal is a sin or is bad, but he decided to stand out. And one other reason why he was able to stand strong and stand firm is because he had people, those other 2 or 3 boys with him. He had them, and they too, they took that step that, okay, you know what, we are going to be eating vegetable. Just let us be eating the vegetable. And they even looked 10 times better than the other people that were eating the king's meat or the king's fish or the king's meal. That is why you need to have a community. You are stronger. You even love yourself more. You are happy having a community. That is why you need to have a community. Lastly, how you can have a community is that be good. Be a good person, because nobody wants to be with nobody wants to be with a sadist. Nobody wants to be with a moody person. Nobody wants to be around someone that is just there. Be a very good person as well. Be very approachable. This way, people would see you and be like, oh, I want to be friends with that person. I want to have a community with this person. That is how. And then on social media too, you can also find communities. Take for example, I said earlier, if you know your values, if you know what you like, your do's and don'ts, and the things that works for you. When you see communities that relate like that fit into that particular thing of yours, that value of yours, you can fill their forms on their platforms and then go ahead to um you know have that kind of community. Recently, I joined a particular Christian community. Yes, I joined a particular Christian community, and I've been getting emails from them, and I really, really love it that way, because that's where I know that, oh, I'm not alone in this journey of my Christian walk. I get encouragement like that. I hope you've learned 1 or 2 things from this episode of Let's Just with Ohunnla. I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you think it's good to have a community as a teenager, let me know. And if you feel like, oh, what is the essence of having a community as a teenager? It's not important, sure. Also, let me know in the comment section below. You remember, this is Let's Just with Ohunnla, and I would love to really hear from you. I feel like we're not even making use of the comment section a lot, and I want us to make use of the comment section. I want to hear your thoughts. I need your own opinions. I want to hear your thoughts basically in the comment section. And remember, have a community. A godly community, a great community will help you to grow stronger. It would help you to grow in ways that you yourself couldn't even think of. It will build you. It will let you know that you have people. It will remind you that there are people like me, so I don't need to listen to those voices out there who makes me feel like, oh, I'm inferior, or I don't have vibes. You understand? One thing I think just that we want people that have vibes, and I'm like that too. I don't like it when people do not have vibes. I know as a Christian you can also have vibes. As a person who is spiritual, you can also have vibes. And I have people like that, and I'm happy and grateful to God for my community. And you also know that this place at Let's Just with Ohunnla is also a community, because I'm saying things that relates to teenagers, and I'm saying things that some teenagers are like, oh, so I'm not even the only one going through this particular thing. So yes, here is also a community, and that is why I want you to make use of the comment section to share how you feel, and I'm here for you, and God is here for you too. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share to people, share to your classmates, share to your classmates, share to your church group. Yeah, don't worry, share to your church group. Share it anywhere. Just make sure that if this has blessed you, you share it to other people as well. I love you. Have a wonderful week. Bye.